wonder you can't hear. So, right, that should work now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, guys. Hope you guys having a wonderful time, enjoying your Friday. So, as usual, as you know, Fridays we have a little chit chat where I just discuss with you or tell you about some interesting things that might have happened this week. And I drink my tea in front of you guys, well. So here is my nice lemon tea. Looks nice and lovely. Right. So, what is the latest with you guys then? What's been happening? Okay, is the screen working properly? Is the light nice? Okay, that should be better. Right. So, Mr. H, wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan, Mr. H. Long time no see. Long time no see, bro. I hope you're well. Alhamdulillah, very good. Thank you very much. Umran Ali, ahlan wa sahlan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Umran Sahib, kya hal hai? What's happening in India, my brother? Zamira, wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Just move a bit over here. So you guys can see this. Chocolate. أي chocolate نأكل اليوم نأكل. Where's the chocolates? Let me see. Well, I've got a selection here. I've got my dark chocolates, the bland ones, the ones that Abdul Majid says they taste like poison, and I got these nice ones. So let's have a little selection. Let's have a try over here. See which one we're gonna like. All right. Not much going on here in terms of positive news. So COVID rates are going down, I assume, where you are. Abdul Wahid, what is the authentic explanation of the line Qasid Burda? Allahul Mahfudu is part of the knowledge. Yeah, so this وعنده علم اللوح والقلم. So basically what this means, it doesn't mean that this poem doesn't necessarily mean that the Prophet ﷺ knows everything in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. It's just like saying basically that he has a unique knowledge that Allah has given him from the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Yeah, which is the Quran is obviously unique knowledge that he was given, and knowledge of other sort of like incidents that are going to occur in the future or things like that. The thing is, I think a lot of people have trouble trying to understand the Qasida Burda because they don't understand how Arabic poetry works. That's the honest truth. If you understand how Arabic poetry works, if you know how the poems are structured and how exaggeration works in poems, you won't really have a problem in reading Qasida Burda. So my advice, anyone who does really want to sort of like understand poems and study classical Arabic poetry and then Islamic poetry and then modern poetry, right? Then you have an understanding of what it means to sort of like say statements that are not meant literally. Wa alaikum assalam, NS, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, my brother, welcome. Umran Ali, but I have been reading the Seerah book. I'm preparing for my entrance exam, mashallah. May Allah make it easier. Nizamiya has 6 main classes up to Dhuhr, then 1 Dhuhr, 1 hour Dhuhr and lunch break, then Arabic, English and Urdu classes. Mashallah. Shabash. I wonder how it's going to be when you start, inshallah. You got to let us know. You got to vlog it. Right. So yeah. So I just had Juma today. My topic on Juma, I actually did record it. My topic on Juma was about Muslim productivity. Yeah, Muslim productivity and having, I called it adjusting the broken systems of the world. Yeah, fixing the broken system. I haven't given it a proper title yet. Fixing the broken systems of the world. What do you guys think? It's basically about the khutbah is about how Islam came, and it came to fix systems that are broken, whether it's systems of administration or government or systems of belief or systems, right, to fix these. Right. So NS, if we pray Jama'ah at home, what is the legal ruling of Adhan Iqama if there is only one male and or rest females. It's recommended as long as the locality has an adhan. That's the main thing. So as long as your locality has an adhan, then you don't have to repeat it. Inshallah, block. That was a nice. Thank you. You're welcome. Not sure if you remember, I emailed you a while ago and advised me to start reading more kitab instead of continue studying grammar without any training. So far, I have completed the Qasas, almost finished Qiraat Rashida. MashaAllah, excellent. What books would you suggest after Nafhatul Arab Mukhtarat? Yeah, after that, you can. Nafhatul Arab might be a bit like a jump. What I would suggest is try, yeah, Mukhtarat might be good. Mukhtarat. But try to read like modern Arabic literature. Get used to reading stuff like Ali Tantawi, Mustafa Sabai. Um, these kind of guys, the Arabic is just like modern Arabic, and it's nice to kind of read. It's like a flowing. So try to read them, and maybe who else is there? Yeah, newspapers, magazines, these kind of things. Yeah, definitely read those. Then once you get used to those, then move on to Nafatul Arab Mukhtarat. Spend Miri Ahlan wa Sahlan, my brother. How are you? I hope you're well. Very good, thank you very much. Yusuf Tariq, Ahlan wa Sahlan, my brother Yusuf. MashaAllah. What's happening, bro? What's happening? What Wolf saying? Ameen. What is the ruling of having a tragus ear piercing? Tragus, okay, let's find out what tragus ear piercing is. That's piercing. Oh, one of those ones. So generally the piercing, is that right in the middle? Yeah. Generally, piercing is to do with the urf of the society. If the urf of society considers it to be like an adornment or beauty amongst most people, then it's permissible to have it. But if it's not considered to be a sign of beauty in women, then no, then it won't be allowed. Is doing sujood with the mask on makruh? No, not according to Hanafis. Sheikh, who are the best Hanafi scholars in the last 1,000 years that their books are connected through Isnad? Top 20. Difficult one to say, my brother. Difficult one to say. There are loads of them. Yeah, I don't know about top 20. I haven't really made a list of which ones are the top 20. Any UK online bookstores you know from which I can purchase the books of authors you suggested? What you can do, I think Zakaria Bookstore or Azhar Academy should have them. Yeah, so we just have a check in Azhar Academy. Azhar Academy. Azhar Academy. Let's see. Books. Arabic. They have a lot of Darsi books. Darsi books. Darsi. صيغة محفوظات. I'm surprised by a lot of these bookstores don't have these kind of like average reading books. Okay, let's see where else. By Ali Tantawi books. Yeah, they got them on Amazon, but they're all Kindle ones. They got these Kindle. You can check a website called Tajura. That usually has some good books. Okay, let's check out some more. Umran, have yet to begin with Sharh Fiqh al-Akbar and Nur al-Idah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Nazif, ahlan wa sahlan. Wa alaikum assalam. I've been following you for a month and hope you can join your podcast soon. How do I know the date and time? Because so it's on Fridays, UK time, Fridays at quarter past 10 at night time. Yeah, Fridays, 10:15 p.m. UK time. That's the times. Well, aspiring, mashallah, aspiring, long time no see. I hope you're well. Hope you are well. Hope you're enjoying your time in is it Shropshire? Shropshire. Assalamu alaikum. How long is nifas for a C-section? The same amount as it is for normal procedure, normal birth. So maximum it can be for 40 days. Yeah. So that's if the bleeding sort of like continues, and if it stops, then wherever it stops. You're welcome, Mr. H. Muhammad Umar Ali al-Qadrafi are my foremost Arabic. Yeah. These are very good books to read, and you can actually. What I would suggest, Mr. H, is try to read novels. Like novels. You can actually get some of these if you look for like you call them riwayat in Arabic. Try to look for novels, a translation of something like Harry Potter or anything like that. Because once you get into Arabic, that's what you want. You want to kind of get yourself into Arabic, and then you can advance to more sort of like classical. Amina, ahla wa sahla wa alaikum assalam. Do we have to include the price of trade goods in our assets when calculating zakat, even if we don't make much money from the business? It all depends. What kind of business is it? Yeah. So, what kind of business is it? Have you priced the items? I need to know more information. If you was to choose as a beginner between Al-Wafi and Imam al-Nasafi and Hidayah with Imam Lakhnawi's Ta'liqat, which one would you choose and why? Al-Wafi, I haven't seen Wafi. Yeah, I heard that they've brought out a new print for it, but I haven't seen Wafi. I mean, I've like read quotations from there, but I haven't read it. So I wouldn't be able to really kind of judge. But Wafi is considered to be the sort of like real kind of like detailed work of Nasafi's before he wrote the Kanz. So I wouldn't be able to say. The thing is, these kind of books, I'm not into like judging one book over the other because each book has its own sort of like unique features, right? And each book is unique and needed, right? Indispensable in its own way. So I would say definitely. The thing is, when you start studying Hanafi books more, it's more about trying to understand the style of the author, how he's brought the masail. Not, for example, like to master yourself in one book. Right? That's not how it works. It's like all the books are needed. So when you're answering a fatwa, you need all the books. Definitely, 100%. Like if someone said to me, what would you prefer, Hidayah or Radd al-Muhtar? Each one has its own merits, and it's difficult to be able to judge because each one is unique in its own way. Bin Hussein, ahla wa sahla, mashallah. Hazrat, mashallah. क्या हाल है मुमताज भाई? खैरियत से? Hazrat Maulana Mumtaz Sahib. Mashallah. Ameen, Jazakallah khair. They don't stock Tantawi's works. Safinatun Najat and Darul Makkah have. Yeah, Darul Makkah. Yeah, Darul Makkah's got some. Tanta. So Safinatun Najat, yeah? Yeah, Safinatun Najat, Darul Makkah. Check them out. Sheikh Hani said that all books connected through Isnad are less than 1,000. For example, Bukhari has Sanad, but not Musnad of Firdaus. So, like this, the total book tafsir. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know the figures. I wouldn't be able to say. Mr. Alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Masir Ali wa alaikum assalam. MashaAllah, my brother from America. كيف حالك? Jundullah, alaikum assalam. Hope all is well. Alhamdulillah. Ahlan wa sahlan, Jundullah. Hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying. You're looking slick today. Najib Mahfoud. Yeah, Najib Mahfoud is also good as well. In fact, you'll open yourself up to a lot of reading once you start discovering one author, that modern author. You realize, there's all these different guys out there who have written some really good stuff. Like Salabi's works are quite good. If you read Salabi's works, they're very good as well. Who was the Sheikh of Shams Tabriz in Tasawwuf? I have no idea. Allah knows. I'll ask the person to email you. Okay, yeah. Or is it someone's question? Yeah, yeah. Tell her to email. لا يغني كتاب عن كتاب. نعم صحيح. كلام صحيح. جيد. Masir Ali, what's a good book to learn fiqh of public law better? I mean stuff like Qisas, Jinayat. So basically, what you want to read is something like, he's done a good job. Sheikh Wahab Zuhaili in Fiqh al-Islam wa Adillatu, because he kind of brings into Syrian laws. Yeah, Syrian law. So that's a good work to look at. That's for public, so like civil law with regards to administration, etc. Yeah, that's a good book. And besides that, who else has written? Yeah, I can't think of anyone else that comes to mind. Maybe Abdul Karim Zaidan as well. Abdul Karim Zaidan has, because he brings Iraqi law in there. What's a book? Okay. Ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. How not to be intimidated by books. Yeah, good question. The way not to be intimidated by books is read them. That is the cure for not to be intimidated. Read the books. Seriously. This is like a big problem that a lot of people have when it comes to books, is basically they're scared of books. Yeah, fear of books. Our teacher used to say, Mufti Taqi Usmani used to say, a lot of ulama students have fear of books. So like, if you're scared of Fathul Bari, and you never touched it, right? And you have this big awe about Fathul Bari, then you're always going to be scared of it, right? So touch it. Don't worry. It's a nice stroke, Fathul Bari. Pet it and read it, and then you'll see that fear is going to come out of you. So don't be scared. Read the book. But the thing is, don't think you're going to understand the book all in one go. Sometimes a book you might start understanding it 20 years after you started learning Arabic. Like there's some books I've only recently started to enjoy them. So for example, like Fathul Bari, it's only recently, maybe in the past few years, that I've recently started to enjoy Fathul Bari, understand how it works, and understand, the kind of style that he has, and maybe things that he didn't discuss. What kind of things did he not discuss that I would have loved him to discuss? And that's the kind of. So I would personally say that if you are sort of like reading a book, if you kind of want to gauge yourself, have you kind of reached the level where you can really benefit from a book at a very high level, like 80%, 90%, 100% of a book, then I would say if you can read 1 or 2 pages and then really kind of think about it, and then think to yourself, okay, what has he missed over here? What kind of thing has he touched upon? Because remember, when an author is writing a book, so imagine like a cake, right? And you cut the cake into slices. So there's a few slices that he's touched upon and lots of slices that he hasn't discussed. Maybe other authors have discussed. So that's what you want. That's what you want to sort of like focus on. I would say that's my own personal touch on this. Yeah, maybe other ulama have different approaches on this, but my own personal um, approach is read a book. Don't be scared of a book. But the thing is, remember that you might not be ready for that book. Sometimes you're not like academically ready. Sometimes you're not like maturity. And before you read any book, this is another piece of advice. I think I might make a video on this as well. Before you read any other book, I would always suggest try to get a piece of paper, get a pen, and write down the things that you in your mind you already know about this topic, right? And write down questions, really kind of nitty-gritty questions that come to your mind, even if they're controversial questions. Write them down. Because when you're reading the book, what you want to do is you want to search for things. You don't just want the book to kind of feed you information, right? So it's like, if so, a lot of people when they read a book, it's like they're passive and the book is just feeding them, feeding them, feeding them, feeding them, right? And they're just like overawed by it. What you need to do is you need to get yourself in a mindset that, right, critical thinking basically. Write down question, think to yourself, okay, well, he said this point, but how would it apply to this? And then you like in the margin write down, this hasn't been answered here. Right. Barakallah fi ya Sheikh, and yourself as always. Ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. I need to my cheeks. I need to clean my cheeks, the hair, remove the hairs on my cheeks. Yeah, it looks a bit messy. Yeah, I'm supposed to prepare myself for Jummah today, but I didn't. The book is thick. It's quite a scary thing. If you're scared of books, then imagine the trees they came from. Does Al Majalla cover only transactions or more than that? No, only transactions. Yeah, it's only for transactions. In fact, let me just quickly have a check. Yeah, let me have a check. Al Majalla, Al Ahkam Al Adaliya, Al Majalla. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like generally sort of like transaction related. It does deal with da'wah and qadha and stuff like that, but it doesn't deal with hudud, yeah, penal code, anything of that sort. Yeah, those are things that are not mentioned in there. Sheikh, do you have ijazat in Sufi tariqa? No, I don't. Do you have any courses on mantiq in English? Or yeah, check on my. I started one. I did about 7 or 8 lessons. It's on my uruk.com. Mantiq. Look. It should be there. Mantiq. I haven't finished it off. I still need to finish it. Muhammad, assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa sahlan. Can you explain the following lines from Mutanabbi? One star is the second part of the same line. Satabki شجوها فرسي ومهري صفائع دمعها ماء الجسوم قربنا النار ثم نشأنا فيها كما نشأ العذار في النعيم وفارقنا السياقل مخلصات وأيديها كثيرات الكلوم. Okay, one second. Let me just bring this up in bigger writing. So right, so ستبكي شجوها ستبكي شجوها. Okay, so right, okay, so this is the poem. He says, I'll say the whole poem so you understand what he's saying. Yeah. إذا غامرت في شرف مروم فلا تقنع بما دون النجوم. If you kind of like thrust yourself to get to the highest level, sharaf, maroom. Maroom means something you intend. مقصود. فلا تقنع, don't be satisfied بما دون النجوم, anything less than the stars. فطعم الموت في أمر حقير, the taste of death in search of a small matter. كطعم الموت في أمر عظيم, is the same taste of death if you're going after a big thing. So in other words, the same death you're going to get if you go after something small is going to be the same if you go after something big. ستبكي شجوها فرسي ومهري. ستبكي فرسها. ستبكي شجوها. Shajwa means like huzn, sadness. So my horse, muhr, means like referring to horse. It's a type of horse. Yeah, muhr. Yeah, so ستبكي شجوها فرسي ومهري. So not صفائح دم where is this? صفائح دم صفائح. This spelling is wrong. مهري صفائح دمعها ماء الجسوم. Okay, ماء الجسوم دمعها ماء الجسوم. Okay, so in other words, he's saying ستبكي. So the صفائح is the file. ستبكي صفائح شجوها. So the Safai, the swords, are going to cry Shajwaha, Farasi, wa Muhri. 1 second, I think I got this wrong. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm going to have to just check something here. 1 second. Let me just check a meaning of a word here. Oh, yeah, all right. So, ستبكي شجوها فرسي ومهري. So, my sword will cry for the sadness of the death of my horses, and its tears will be ma'ul jusumi. Ma'ul jusumi meaning like the blood that comes out from the body. Yeah, jism, jusum, ma'ul jusum. the blood that comes out of his ears. قربنا النار ثم نشأنا فيها. So قربنا النار, they came near the fire. So قرب يقرب, they came near the fire. قربنا النار, they came near the fire. These swords. قربنا النار, or it could mean they brought close the fire. ثم نشأنا فيها, and then they were brought up in it. كما نشأ العذارى في النعيم, just like young women, young like virgin women are brought up in luxury. وفارقنا السياقلة, so then the swords have separated from those who polish the sword. سياقل مخلصات, pure from any sort of like tainted. وأيديها كثيرة الكلوم, whilst the hands of the guys who polished them were filled with all cuts. يرى الجبناء أن العجز عقل, cowardice people, they see that weakness is intellect. وتلك خديعة الطبع اللئيم, this is the deception of wretched natured people. وكل شجاعة في المرء تغني, and the bravery of every individual suffices. ولا مثل الشجاعة في الحكيم, and nor is the example of braveness less في الحكيم in the wise man. وكم من عاتب قول صحيحا, how many people عائب, how many people criticize a valid statement. وآفته, whereas his sort of like fault, his flaw is in this فهم السقيم, in his ill understanding. ولكن تأخذ الآذان منه على قدر القراح والعلوم. However, ears, the different people's ears, different people's nature, listen to things على قدر القرائح, according to their طبيعة, nature, والعلوم, and what they've learnt. Okay, that's basically what he means. So it's talking about this sort of like issue of something has happened, and he's talking about the bravery of going into battle and dying for the sake of whatever he's fighting for. Okay, now time to read English books. Where to find time to read Arabic? Ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Assalamu alaikum, S. Hussein. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Mufti, I think you mastered time management, and due to that, you have been blessed with so much. I haven't mastered it yet. I've got so much weakness in my time I need to sort out. Sheikh, when a person has two fields of study, like I am a physics graduate and I am studying Alamiya books as well, want to be a scholar, inshallah, how to manage these together? I mean, I haven't done what you're doing, so I wouldn't know exactly the kind of challenges that you're going to face. What I would say is that what you need to do is you need to figure out for yourself what you want to study, why you want to study it, and how much you're willing to give for it. Yeah. So, for example, what are you studying? Learn about what you're studying first of all. If you're studying Arabic grammar, like what is Arabic grammar? What do you expect on this journey? Just like when you're kind of like putting into your sat nav where you want to go, the journey. So this journey you want to go on, for example, you need to figure out, okay, what if there's a problem on the route, or what kind of problems do people normally face? Figure that out. So I think a lot of people that study Alimiya courses, this is one of the biggest problems they have. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. Literally, they're like blindly just jumping into, like a abyss. Number two is, why do you want to study it for? Yeah, why do you want to study this for? What's it for? What are you going to achieve at the end of it? Yeah, I think this is another thing a lot of people don't understand. They just think, I just want to learn it because for the sake of Allah. That's a very sort of, not to be blunt, but that's a very immature sort of like response. Okay, you're doing it for Allah's sake, but no one ever historically has ever said, I'm doing it for Allah's sake, without knowing like which aspect for Allah's sake. Is it to teach the ummah? Is it to create some sort of like importance of knowledge in the society, something like that? And then, so what are you studying? Why are you studying it? And how much are you willing to give for it? Like, how much time are you willing to give? That's the thing. So you could do a course and you're willing to give, let's say, only 2 hours a week. Now that might be the best for you. Or you're willing to give, let's say, 10 hours a week, right? And for you, that might be a best thing for you. But what I would say is you look at the situation. Yeah, look at your situation. Yeah, what kind of situation do you have? Definitely is possible, Abdul Wahid. Adam Ali, would you invest in Bitcoin? I don't know. I thought about it in the past, but with the volatility, it just looks a bit too much of a headache. Another thing I don't like having to keep looking at, like, like what's happened to get. I don't like that. Like, has it gone up? Has it gone down? I think that's the thing that kind of stresses me out. So I would rather be, relaxed and calm and invest in something else that's more stable. Nadeem, wa alaikum assalam, ahla wa sahlan, ahla wa sahlan. What is meant by alif al-itlaq in poetry? Alif al-itlaq. Do you have an example? Alif al-itlaq, from my memory, if I serves me right. Have a quick check. Oh yeah, yeah. So alif al-itlaq basically is, at the end of a poem, like you have at the end of a poem, the sound that sounds yeah. So when they add an alif at the end of it, not because that alif is a tathniya or a mansub, that's just there for the what they call the rawi. The rawi is like the end sounding, end sound. So for example, like بكى صاحبي لما رأى الدرب دونه وأيقن أن لاحقان بقيصرى بقيصرى. So they have like an alif at the end of it. فقلت له لا تبكي عينك إنما نحاول ملكا أو نموت فنعذرا. نعذرا is that alif at the end. Can you give some a breakdown on tahniq for newborn, just out of curiosity? How have you ever been asked? Yeah, I've done it. So basically what you do is you get a date, chew it, or some honey or something, get your finger, put it in your mouth, get some of that sweetness out, and then put it into the baby's mouth, right? So that the baby, and just press it against the palate. Obviously my fingers are a bit big, but sometimes you try and do little finger or something, just so that you just press it against, lightly press it against the baby's palate, and try to get someone who you kind of think is pious or something. People think I'm pious, but what kind of issues would one encounter in Alimiya? Loads of issues. Yeah, it depends where you're from, depends what kind of Alimiya course, what kind of books you're doing. Each one has its own kind of things. So yeah, definitely you need to think about what you're studying. What could this have? The path of ilm seems easy from outside because people only see the results but not the struggles that went. Definitely, I like that one. Wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan, Flames, Abdullah, hope you're well. Back from school, yeah? Well done, man. أمر على الديار ديار ليلى أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار. That's an ألف إطلاق. وما حب الديار شغفن قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. Usama Khan, alaikum assalam. My question is, there are hadith that declare it permissible for people to revolt against the Caliph. However, why is Hussein revolt against Yazid considered legitimate? So this is because there's a difference of opinion amongst early people regarding this issue of revolting against the Khalifa. Yeah. So there are narrations that go, but they have a different understanding that if the Khalifa is someone who is considered to be wretched, then many of the early scholars allowed revolting against the Khalifa. Yeah, there were many scholars who did allow it. Muhammad Prairie, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, my brother from Chicago. Umran Ali, I think one should just prepare mentally for issues that will happen regardless. Yeah, definitely. But I think you need to know what you're getting yourself in. Like, if you're studying Alimiya course, you need to know what's the point of studying hadith, what's the point of studying fiqh, what do you want to get out of it in the first year, what do you want to get out of it in the second year, in the third year, in the fourth year, like that. Yeah, so once you understand, have a plan in your head, the studying becomes more sort of like enjoyable as well, because you understand why you're studying it, right? You don't just get burnt out. So like if I say to you, for example, right, come to my garden, Umran, I want you to clean all my garden from here up to here. I want it to look like this, and I give you like a mental image, you'll know what you're working towards. But if I just say to you, clean my garden, just carry on, I'll tell you when to stop, you'll get tired. Yeah, so anyway, guys, it's Maghrib time. I just about started now, so I'm gonna have to leave. Mubinur Rahman, ahlan wa sahlan, wa alaikum assalam. Hope you are well. Is it permissible to take out a student loan to go university? Well, student loans are haram if they are based upon interest. But if there is a need, if there's a necessity, I mean, there's no other way of making that money up, then there would be permissibility in taking it. What is it this time? This is lemon tea, Turkish lemon tea. MashaAllah, Brother Sufyan, if you're watching, this is, open this one today. Lemon tea. How can one keep his intentions sincere when he's being paid to teach Quran? The same way when Sahaba were keeping their intentions sincere when they were going for battle and getting the booty of war. Yes, remember, Sahaba went for fighting, didn't they? Who did they fight for? Allah. But they knew they were going to get booty wherever they fought, and they got. So, in other words, were they fighting for the sake of Allah, or were they fighting for dunya? Clearly, it's for Allah. But Allah allowed them to have dunya as well. Yeah, so in other words, this. However, I would say a person should always remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make in teaching Quran or teaching Hadith or teaching Islam or being an Imam in a mosque or any sort of like Islamic, always remember that this isn't the main purpose. The main purpose is for Allah's sake, and this is just a bonus. Think about it that way. I'll think about that. I want to gain out of each year. Yeah, definitely. That's my personal experience. All right, guys, take care, inshallah. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.